Starting with a little yoga warm-up today, we're going to start in a nice tall mountain pose, grabbing one wrist with the opposite hand and giving it a gentle pull to the side, opening up that side body. You want to give this a couple of breaths on each side. And then on our next big inhale, we're going to prepare to do a forward fold, dropping towards our toes. Inhale, swan dive forward. Exhale as we reach the ground. And I like to spend a few breaths here letting gravity take over, grabbing the elbows and just letting the neck relax, enjoying this stretch. Next big inhale, we're going to come halfway up, straight back, strong legs looking forward, and then exhale back into our forward fold. You're going to inhale all the way back up to standing. You're going to do this a few more times, and then we're going to add a little something extra at the end into that straight back. Exhale into that forward fold. Inhale, come all the way up to standing. Go ahead and give me another one. Inhale nice and tall. Exhale as we swan dive forward. Nice strong legs. Inhale, straight back. Exhale, come all the way down. Inhale all the way back up to standing. This next one we're going to add in a little bit of extra. So inhale to prepare yourself. Exhale, swan dive forward. Inhale to that straight back. Exhale, plant your hands this time. We're going to take a right leg back and then your left leg back into a plank position. And then you're going to send your hips back behind you, taking your heels down to the ground. If you can't get your heels down to the ground and you have a slight bend in your knee, that is okay, just whatever feels good for you. Spend a couple of breaths here. You can also shift from one side to the other. They call it walking the dog. So you can just bend one knee, send a little bit of pressure on one side and then the other. And on the next big inhale, we're going to take the right leg and we're going to plant the foot over on the right side of the right hand, on the outside of the hand. And enjoying this lunge stretch, sending that heel back behind you. And then you're going to drop that knee and come up into a hip flexor stretch. So nice and tall, tucking your butt underneath you. And if you're comfortable, go ahead and reach the arms up, giving yourself a little bit more of a stretch in that hip flexor in the front. Kind of a little back bend. Make sure we're breathing. Then you're going to come forward, plant your left hand and open up to your right side. Nice good rotation in the spine. And then you have the option to take that hand and reach for your lower back, opening up that shoulder in the front. And then coming back to center, we're going to do a little quad stretch. So you're going to take that left heel and bring it to your bottom, grabbing that foot. It's a little more advanced stretch, so if it's not comfortable, then leave this one out. Make sure we're breathing. And then once we release that, we're going to come into a hamstring stretch. So we're going to flex the foot. That just means plant the heel, bring your toes towards your nose and sit back onto your opposite heel. And then you're just going to point your toe and then flex, giving it a little bit of movement back and forth. You're going to feel that in the back of your leg, and you might feel that in the shin when you're pointing away, which is the front of the leg on the bottom leg. And you're going to step back into your downward dog once again, and then prepare to bring that left leg forward onto the outside of the left hand. Enjoying that nice low lunge, taking that heel and really pushing it back behind you, getting a nice calf stretch. And then dropping that knee, coming up with the arms, reaching above your head, leaning forward into that hip just a little bit. Again, whatever feels good here, nothing that's painful. And then coming forward with that right hand, you're going to plant it and then open up to the left side, really opening up that chest. getting that rotation in the spine, and then again that option to reach back behind you for that extra front shoulder stretch. And then coming back forward into that quad stretch, bringing that right heel into the butt. And you may have to adjust if you are feeling unstable or if you feel like your stance is too wide. Go ahead and do what you need to feel good. And then once we release that, we're going to go into our hamstring stretch. Again, sending our butt back to our right heel and flexing that left foot. Again, small movements, just back and forth, and keep breathing. Then we're going to come back into our downward dog, spend just a little breath right there. And then coming forward into our pigeon pose. So bringing that right leg in at a 90-degree angle. If you feel good here, stay here. If you feel like you need a little bit more of a challenge or a stretch in that outer hip, you can bring the forearms down to the ground. Nice big breaths here. This is a great one for your hip, your lower back area. And then coming back into your downward dog to switch sides. So that left leg comes forward. And then just sitting into that stretch to breathe. And then getting ready to come back into a downward dog. And then to a plank to drop down for a cobra pose, which is just a little back extension. So whatever feels good here for you, if you can be on your elbows or if you want a full extension in the arm, whatever feels good. Then you're going to come back into your downward dog, stepping forward into our forward lunge for a breath, and then inhale to come all the way back up. Getting ready for our circuit. First exercise that we're doing, we're getting into a squat position, walking ourselves out to a plank, rowing if you have that capability and you're ready for it, and then walking ourselves back into a squat and then to a standing position. So with this, we want to make sure that the core is engaged, and when we're doing our rowing, we're really activating that back and squeezing that shoulder blade when we're pulling up towards the sky. And then if we get comfortable and advanced, we can always add in a jump. So a tuck jump, just like that. You can add in a star jump, a tuck jump, a regular jump, whatever you want to do for that to challenge yourself. On our next exercise, we're going to do a little bit of ab work. So nice and tall position. You're going to tuck your pelvis underneath you and kind of give your little low spine a little C curve. And then we're going to go from pocket to pocket, really just twisting. If you do not feel comfortable with this, you feel a little tug, you can bring your legs back down and your heels on the mat. But you want to spend about 30 to 45 seconds here, with or without weight. Next, we're going to work the legs, lunges all three directions. So we're doing a forward lunge, where we're just stepping forward, a side lunge, where we step out to the side, and then a curtsy lunge, where we step back behind us at a diagonal. Making sure we're pushing through the heel and we're nice and tall through the body and not leaning forward too much. Nice and engaged. If you feel unstable, you can always plant your toe in the middle while you're switching positions. This next one is called a plank up, where we're just going to be in a plank position, shifting from one side to the other, adding in a plank jack. So plank up and then plank jack. If you're uncomfortable with jumping out to the sides, you can always just do a toe tap out to the side from left and right, alternating back and forth. Next exercise, lots of cardio. You're going to come into a sumo squat and jump into a narrow squat and then just back and forth, keeping that butt back behind you. Last exercise, we're going to be in a side plank, giving it a little rotation underneath us, and then a little forward kick. So a little hip flexion in that last part.